Okay guys, we got a 2012 Jeep Patriot with the 2.4 liter engine, and the complaint that the owner of this vehicle has is the heater does not get warm whenever it's cold out. And I got to looking at this a couple days ago, and I don't know what the outside temperature was. It was pretty cold. I'd say it's maybe about 40, maybe 45 degrees outside, and the engine temperature would not get warm. It wouldn't get all the way up to normal operating temperature, and because of that, the heater wouldn't blow very warm. Well, later on that day, the temperature got up to almost 70 degrees. The engine came all the way up to normal operating temperature, and the heater seemed to be fine. And I checked all that. I've actually got another video where I used the thermal imager, and we checked all the hose temperatures and stuff. And we checked it with blower on high, blower on low, blower off, to see what the temperature differences were of the heater hoses, which are right there. So the heater core, I think, is fine. So we're going to put thermostats in this vehicle, and let me show you kind of some interesting tech data. So here's the thermostat housing. This vehicle has a primary and secondary thermostat. You've got the primary thermostat right there. You've got a secondary thermostat that goes right here, and it comes with it. And the way this works, I'll read the description of how it works, but this is kind of an interesting little bit of tech data. It says here that the thermostat diagnostics is included in the TIPM programming for onboard diagnosis. The malfunction indicator lamp will illuminate, and a diagnostic trouble code will be set when an open too soon condition occurs. Do not change a thermostat for lack of heater performance or temperature gauge position unless a DTC is set. Well, there is no DTC set for that, and we're going to change the thermostat for this problem, because if the engine's not getting up to normal operating temperature, what else is it? You're fully topped off with coolant. The engine's not getting up to full operating temperature. The only thing it can be is a thermostat. Now let me kind of read the description to you so you'll understand what the primary and the secondary thermostats are all about. As the engine warms up, the primary thermostat will start to open at about 179 degrees Fahrenheit. Coolant will start to flow through the radiator, oil cooler, and transmission cooler. Coolant will flow through the transmission oil cooler only when the primary thermostat is fully open. The primary thermostat will fully open at 203 degrees. The secondary thermostat will start to open at 203 degrees. This will increase the coolant flow through the cylinder block and cylinder head and the radiator. The secondary thermostat will fully open at 230 degrees Fahrenheit. If the thermostat is stuck open or allows coolant leakage through it, the engine will not operate at the proper temperature for obtaining engine fuel efficiency, performance, and emission levels. If this condition occurs, a diagnostic trouble code will be set and the MIL light will be turned on. Well, that has not happened. And I let this thing sit and idle for probably 30 minutes the other day, and it never did get up to operating temperature. And I never got a check engine light, and there's not any kind of a code set for that. So basically, I'm going to start pulling this off to show you what it's going to take to replace the entire thermostat housing. That includes both thermostats, and yeah, we'll just get started. Let me get the camera mounted. Alright, so the first thing I want to do is just get this little piece out of the way. Then I'm just going to pop this top cover off. Now, I'm going to put an air filter in this. I'm going to take this top air filter housing off. You don't necessarily have to do that, but you'd need to disconnect the connectors, lay them out of the way so you can pull the whole air box up. And I'm just going to take this one bolt out here and then finish taking these 8mm out. This is a 10mm. And I'm going to finish taking these 8mm out. And then I'm just going to lay this air box lid over on the side there. And you got two back ones back here that you'll probably want to use a swivel if you've got one. If not, you can get to them with just a straight. It'll just probably take you a little longer. And I'm just going to lay that right off to the side, just like this. Couple hoses back here on the back. Actually, I guess there's just one hose. You get a screwdriver. And then once you get this duct off, the air box just pops right out, just like that. And I'm going to go ahead and replace this air filter. And before I put the new one in and put this back in, I'm going to clean all that gunk out of there. And your thermostat housing's right here. So that you got 4 hoses. Let me get you a better shot of that. I'm going to bungee this up out of the way so I don't have to fight with it. Let me get you a better shot of what you got here. So you got these 2 hoses here, both your heater hoses, upper radiator hose, lower radiator hose. So probably the hardest part of this whole deal is probably just going to getting the hoses off, depending on how stuck they are. You got a connector there on that sensor. That sensor will be swapped over on the other housing. Let me just line this new housing up, make sure that it's going to be the same. And it does look to be the same. So let me get my hose clamps and let's actually we can probably just get on. I'm going to get some pinch off pliers, pinch off these hoses so we don't lose any more coolant than we're going to need to, and then yeah, we'll start taking this thing apart. I'm not going to drain it first. There is a petcock down on the radiator if you want to try to get to that. I've got a gallon of antifreeze to put back in it to replace whatever I lose. I am going to pinch the hoses off, so when I take them off, no more is going to run out than is going to need to. And then whatever I happen to catch in my catch pan, if it looks clean and good, I'll put it back. I need to get me another set of pinch off pliers, because I don't have quite enough. Now, there's simply 3 bolts, one here, here, and here. And this whole assembly should be off. They make this housing in aluminum also. And it's not much more. It's about double the price, about $60 or $70. 10 millimeter down there on those bolts. So if you had a vehicle that you really want to keep for a while, I don't know if it'd be a good idea to go ahead and buy the aluminum version. These bolts are completely dry. There's no thread sealant on them, so apparently they don't go into water jackets. They're all 3 the same size. And there you have it. Now the new one does come with a new O-ring, so we're going to put a new O-ring on here. We'll clean these surfaces up, and then it's just a matter of bolting it back up. Man, that O-ring did not want to come off there. And it does get smashed pretty good. There's the new one. Just put a little coolant on it for lubrication. Now I want to take these pinch-off pliers off, because I just want to make sure that I'm going to blow air through that heater core just to make sure that it is flowing free. Yep, I'd say it's flowing free. Now make sure your gasket's on correctly. Thermostat will go in this direction. There's a little notch on the gasket, goes into this notch. And if they did it right, this hole will be up at the top here. That's a bleed hole. It lets air will travel up to the highest point in a cooling system, and that lets that air flow out of there. So make sure that that's installed right. I'm just going to put a little Antifreeze right there, little antifreeze right here. Make sure we got plenty of antifreeze on this O-ring right here, just so that it will slide in its little position. Now when you put this on, make sure that your thermostat doesn't fall out. Okay. Other than the sensor, I'm sure how the sensor's going to go. The sensor's got a little tab right here. You're going to pull that up and turn the sensor. And then after you've turned it, you should be able to pop it up out of here. And again, there is an O-ring, a new O-ring for this sensor. Be a good idea to clean all that rust off too. Little antifreeze. And there you have it. Okay. Now it's just a matter of putting the air box back in and then filling it up with coolant. Hey, just a little tip, whenever you put your air box back in, take a little bit of that coolant that drained out and rub around on that rubber, the rubber inserts, so that whenever you push it down in there, it'll just slide right down in there and snap right in. New air filter will just go in just like that. This, you can unplug this connector, or you can just pull it out of its little housing right there. Whatever's easiest. .10mm goes in right here, and then all the 8mm go in right here. Let's see. Alright, let me get it topped off with coolant, and we'll see how the temp's going to do. Alright guys, so we're fully warmed up. We're at about 210 on the coolant temp, engine temp, and we're blowing about 120 degree air. So before, the reason the thermostats were changed was because if you see that dot right in the middle of the C and the where the needle's at right now, that first dot right there, that's as hot as I could get the engine. I let it sit for about 30 minutes. It would not warm up any more than that, and so the heater just wasn't performing the way it should. Well, now that it's fully warmed up, we're actually blowing a little more than 120 out of the vents, so we're pretty good. The engine is now, according to the scan tool, we're sitting at about 213, almost 214. So that's right where it should be. Anyway, this is a 2012 Jeep Patriot 2.4 liter engine. It's got about 126,000 miles, and they got heat again. You guys take care.